Good morning, Bela and everyone. Thank you, Bela and the ITA team for this invitation to be part of this important dialogue. I just shared my screen. I wonder if you can see it.
Yes, we can. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. So then, moving on. I'll start with how UNICEF's global experience can influence education policy for out-of-school children and for children that are in school. UNICEF's global experience in education policy is generally characterized by our focus on equity, inclusiveness, and evidence-based interventions. So I've categorized these into various subheadings, policy advocacy and strengthening being the first one. Yes, Sir, can you hear me?
हाँ आ रही है
क्लियर है वॉइस बिल्कुल
Right.
क्लियर
Yes, we can hear you. Can you
मेरे
just
को भी लगा हुआ है
can
एक
you
सेकंड
please mute? Seher, can you mute? We can hear Noreen well. Thank you.
All right, so just continuing with policy advocacy, we believe that UNICEF has played a key role in inclusive education systems in countries that have similar socioeconomic challenges to Pakistan. For example, in countries such as Ethiopia and Bangladesh. In Ethiopia, UNICEF has supported the Ethiopian government in mainstreaming, in expanding access to education through alternative basic education programs. These have provided remote communities and incorporated flexible schedules for children who either have to work or have caregiving responsibilities. In Bangladesh, similarly, UNICEF has collaborated with the government to implement a second chance education program. This focuses on reintegrating dropouts and after-school children in formal education systems by offering accelerated learning opportunities. So we believe that in Pakistan also we can learn from these experiences, and these experiences can inform the design of policies tailored to Pakistan's local context. In terms of foundational learning, UNICEF has also used its global influence to elevate the importance of foundational learning within the broader education agenda globally, especially focusing on ensuring that children acquire basic literacy, numeracy, and transferable skills. Bela has already highlighted the Transforming Education Summit interventions, but this was also highlighted, foundational learning was highlighted as a non-negotiable priority during the Transforming Education crisis. UNICEF's advocacy emphasized the learning crisis, how 70% children in low and middle income countries are unable to read or understand a simple text by the age of 10. Then UNICEF also actively participated in drafting the commitment to action. This defined various priorities such as advocating for the inclusion of foundational literacy and numeracy which is essential for equitable, inclusive education systems, data-driven insights, and equity lens. Also, this was underpinned by several core strategies for foundational learning. These included strengthening early childhood education, so linking foundational learning with SDG 4.2, then teacher training, especially capacity building to deliver effective literacy and numeracy instruction, digital learning innovations. These were important, and UNICEF advocated for tools such as UNICEF's Learning Passport to support FLN in underserved regions, and then finally community engagement. I'd also like to focus on bridging gaps for out-of-school children and in-school children. So targeted interventions for out-of-school children through initiatives such as Education Cannot Wait or accelerated learning programs, then improving in-school quality and curriculum-relevant school infrastructure to retain students to enhance learning outcomes. Then partnerships and cross-sectoral approaches with government, NGOs such as ITA. The private sector also can be replicated in Pakistan to address some of these systemic challenges. And then finally, on this, community engagement and social mobilization is also very important for inclusive education policies and practices and ensuring foundational learning for all. Then in terms of the second question that you asked, Bela, on strategies that can be employed to integrate ECD into SDG 4.2. I believe that, so let's start with what SDG 4.2 emphasizes. It emphasizes that all children should have access to quality early childhood development, care, and pre-primary education. And integrating ECD into foundational learning requires a multifaceted approach. Again, I'll start with policy integration. So comprehensive ECD policies, we can learn from countries such as Cuba and Rwanda, where their ECD frameworks integrate health, nutrition, and education. Then allocating sufficient resources for pre-primary education within national budgets. This is absolutely essential, cannot be done without it. Then strengthening pre-primary education. This would require curriculum alignment with foundational learning objectives, especially focusing on cognitive, socio-emotional, and motor skills. Then teacher training, of course, building the capacity of pre-primary educators is vital. In Pakistan, we of course don't have a specialized cadre for pre-primary teachers, which in itself is a problem. But training programs, if the government prioritizes these, should focus on play-based learning and child-centered pedagogy. Then cross-cultural collaboration, so the health education and nutrition nexus, I've already spoken about that. Philippines has done a really good job on this. They have a really good ECCD model that integrates these three sectors together. Then, as with the earlier question, parental and community engagement is of utmost importance, coupled, of course, with community-based interventions. Inclusive and flexible ECD services. These are essential to target most of the marginalized and ensure gender and disability inclusion. ITA has also been working on focusing on disability inclusion, something that requires a lot more focus in Pakistan. And then finally, monitoring and evaluation to assess the impact of ECD programs and see if these are actually targeting SDG 4.2 targets. And finally, digital assessments, how to make these accessible for all in advancing SDG goals, particularly to improve access and access to at quality and foundational learning. So this really requires improvements by providing real-time data to improve learning outcomes, especially in foundational learning. We need to focus on personalized learning pathways by identifying individual strengths and weaknesses, and then tailoring support for each child, especially in large and diverse classrooms where traditional assessments may feel this is what our context requires. Then inclusion and equity, accessibility for all. Digital tools can be designed to accommodate children with disabilities. Again, this is very important to do, especially in remote areas where we need to do this through offline compatible solutions where internet is not available. Then bridging the gender gap. Digital assessments can also be used to identify gender disparities in learning outcomes. Then monitoring and accountability becomes very important, and digital assessments can provide real-time disaggregated data. Unicef has supported ITA in developing an FLN application, something that we'll be launching very soon, and you'll all be invited. And this will go a long way in supporting monitoring and accountability using digital means, and to ensure that parents, siblings, guardians can also assess children using ASA tools. Then initiatives such as Pratham in India have also leveraged technology to track foundational learning outcomes, and we hope that ITA's latest FLN app will be able to do that. Then capacity building for teachers. This is essential again to identify areas where students are struggling and then enable them to refine their instructional strategies. Then scalability and cost effectiveness to reduce costs associated with traditional assessments. This is important. Mobile-based assessments or partnership with EdTech platforms can expand reach and improve foundational learning outcomes. There is some work that's ongoing, but more needs to be done in Pakistan. And then finally, I would say fostering innovation. This is absolutely important. Gamified assessments or AI-driven platforms can make learning and evaluation more engaging for students, increasing participation, retention, particularly for foundational learning. I'll stop there, Bella. Thank you very much.